Welcome all sports fans and everyone across the nation. This is another episode of Uneducated Sports Talk. I'm your host, Carlos Clayton. And before we get started on breaking down the aftermath of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, please do your boy a favor. Hit that like button if you're loving what you're seeing. Hit that subscribe button and join UST Nation on our road to 3,000 subscribers, y'all. So thank y'all for the love and the support. Without you guys, none of this is possible. So please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yes, as you see from the thumbnail, we are going to talk about the aftermath of Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson and why it was just downright disrespectful, pathetic. We were hoodwinked, bamboozled. And when I say we, I mean the majority of you guys. I kind of wasn't like that. I kind of knew the outcome, but how it happened, I am with you guys when it comes down to the shock factor of what really went down. I want to break down who's to blame for this blunder that we had of a spectacle between Jake Paul, the YouTube sensation boxer, versus Mike Tyson, the living legend of boxing, the once upon a time baddest man on the planet. Right. Netflix. Shout out to Jake Paul and his team. They got to deal with Netflix. The first live stream event for some of this magnitude from Netflix. I knew just from knowing previous other streamers, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, all those guys had a first start, a first live event that was huge, and there was a lot of buffering in those events. So Netflix buffering across the entire nation did not surprise me at all. Matter of fact, I didn't even watch the fight till the morning after because right as the fight was coming on, it buffered outrageously crazy. So I told my kids, hey, we're gonna just watch it the first thing in the morning, no spoilers, let's go. But Jake Paul, Mike Tyson come to an agreement way back in about a year or so ago, and they say we're gonna fight each other, and we're all excited because everyone's looking at Jake Paul like he's a joke. And I've said this numerous times now. Jake Paul isn't your average random YouTuber or nerd or outsider that comes into the boxing and looks like he's not Nate Robinson, right? This guy, him and his brother, I gotta give them credit where credit is due. Jake Paul, Logan Paul, call them what you want, YouTubers, social media, frenzy kids, I don't care. These guys took this sport seriously. So there are people who really thought that a 58-year-old Mike Tyson was going to come in there and really knock out a 27-year-old Jake Paul. Now, Jake Paul isn't going to match up with guys like Canelo, no matter how much he says it. He's just not. But he's made a living of getting legends from UFC, from the NBA, those kind of things, and having fights like that because it attracts the audience to come watch it. YouTuber versus living legend or professional whatever he was back in the day, people want to watch that, right? Almost like your celebrity deathmatch styles back when I was a kid watching that in the early 2000s or the late 90s. But so you have that aspect. People have a villain and a good guy. We got it. Your antagonist and your protagonist. Your protagonist, Mike Tyson, the 58-year-old phenom, baddest man on the planet, taking on Jake Paul, 27-year-old punk YouTuber who no one likes. So, of course, right there, money's in the making. Now, speaking of money in the making, what sport is this again? This is boxing. We know one of the most rigged sports, one of the most calculated sports there out there. It's just crazy how rigged it is and how much money is being piled into these kind of these kind of events that we have. So I really think what really made people mad about the actual event of Paul versus Tyson was that Tyson looked so bad, right? And we all thought maybe he threw the towel in. Maybe he took a dive, right? I'm going to say no. And here's why the match looked the way it was. But they didn't stop it. They continued it. It wasn't a coincidence that when Mike Tyson had his ulcer flare back in late May, approximately 2 months before the July event between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, which wound up being canceled due to Mike Tyson's ulcer flare at the airport in Miami. When that happened, before that happened, I think Mike Tyson was really not going to still beat Jake Paul. Let's keep that real. He wasn't going to beat Jake Paul at all, but he could have made it exciting. He could have moved more. Everyone's got off those edits, those clips, right? Oh, look at Mike Tyson, man. Those 20-second edits, he's just really going at it, going crazy, and had people like us fooled. But if you think about that, those edits were before the ulcer flare. He lost 26 pounds in the ulcer flare, right? He could barely walk, lost a lot of blood. So not only did he have to get his weight back in about 4 or 5 months, but also had to retrain for it. Here's my issue of what I think really happened and why it went down like that. If we all saw Mike Tyson, we saw he was literally a shell of himself in that fight against Paul. The man could not move. The legs weren't moving. They were stuck. It was almost knee on knee, pretty much, when he was going, and the whole biting the glove. Look, Roy Jones called it out ASAP. The other announcer, I forgot the famous announcer that was on there. I forgot his name. I apologize. He was trying to make it seem like Mike Tyson does it all the time. And I'm like, I haven't watched every single Mike Tyson fight, but I swear that's my first time seeing that too. Roy Jones basically said the same thing. He didn't do that with me. I never seen Mike Tyson bite a glove. That was a sign for something. I have no idea. We'll probably find out in a couple of years, but that really, really meant about Mike Tyson biting that glove. It could have been a clue or a hint to Jake Paul for something. I'm not quite sure. But it was, Mike Tyson isn't good at really hiding things. And here's why I say that. If you guys are my age, I'm 36 years old. If you remember, Mike Tyson was a part of WWE or WWF back in the day when it was Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid, taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Mike Tyson's role was to be the antagonist towards Stone Cold and make life difficult because he was with DX and he made life difficult for Stone Cold. Well, in the actual event of WrestleMania where Stone Cold beat Shawn Michaels, he had to turn on Shawn Michaels, but he had to call the 3 count because he was the special referee in that game. And boy, he was very special in that moment. The 3 count was about the fastest 3 count I've ever seen in my life. It was literally 1, 2, 3. I was like, yo, you had to make it kind of kind of non-obvious, right? But he went so fast. When I say that, Mike Tyson, there's probably a plan for him in that fight against Jake Paul with the bite in the glove, but he didn't do it right. I'm not quite sure. That's just speculation. Who knows about it? Now, back to the actual event of him having an ulcer flare. You mean to tell me at the age of 58, you lost 26 pounds, lost a ton of blood. You mean to tell me he was gonna rebuild himself at the same fight? Yeah, he lied and said, "Oh, I'm 100%. I'm ready to go." In reality, you gotta understand. Same thing with Conor McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. When that fight was over, and we knew that McGregor had no shot of beating Mayweather in a boxing match, but it was the dope UFC. Conor McGregor was the top dog of UFC, taking on the top dog of boxing in a boxing event, and we all knew that Floyd Mayweather was gonna win that fight, right? But I guarantee before and after, these guys are freaking best friends saying, how much money can we make? Because McGregor, like Jake Paul, is money. Mike Tyson, like Floyd Mayweather, is money in their own styles. Them being the fighters, and of course McGregor and Jake Paul being the sportsmanship, the guys that talk a lot and bring all that attention and money in there. It was the same thing. But you mean to tell me when Tyson got hurt and he had that ulcer flare in May 26, I believe, 2 months before the event, and the event got postponed to November. We saw it on the 15th. In that time span, you mean to tell me Mike Tyson really had to retrain his body, gain all that weight back, and he was going to be normal? No. The first minute of that match, round one, Mike Tyson looked okay. Literally the second or third minute, he was done. He could not move, which makes me think behind the scenes, Mike told Jake Paul, brother, I can't move. I can't fight. Something's wrong. Jake Paul, being the asshole in the public, but I'm pretty sure he's a normal human being in private, said, Mike, we're going to still make you some money. Because I don't know if Mike Tyson's broke or not. I'm not counting nobody's pockets. But if he was not quote unquote broke, this fight never happens until Mike Tyson is 100% clearly ready. Mike Tyson might have needed the money. Jake Paul, being the nice guy he is in the private times of life, probably said, "Look, Mike, we are still going to do it. We're going to talk our shit. We're going to make things happen. And what I will do is we're going to go out there and I'm not going to knock you out. I'm going to jab you, hit you up because can you still take that?" And I'm pretty sure behind the scenes, both parties understood the assignment. Just like McGregor versus Mayweather. They understood the assignment. Conor McGregor, in a technical boxing sense, is nowhere near Mayweather at all. We knew Mayweather was going to tag him up. Now, they probably said McGregor was in his peak. He could take punches. He could take flurries. He was fine with being TKO'd, right? I don't think Jake Paul could have TKO'd Mike Tyson. Otherwise, it would have been shameful on Jake Paul to do because once we clearly saw something was wrong with Mike Tyson, we saw that from the jump. Mike Tyson, those edits we saw before the ulcer flare, that wasn't Mike Tyson who barely even threw a right punch, a right hook, or right. It was straight left with Mike Tyson. And literally after the first round, he was done. And I felt so bad for it. And of course Netflix does what they do. What they should have done was beat Netflix, and I mean everything crashed. And I get that, but boy, it was a bad look to boxing, and that's why a lot of people just don't like boxing. Um, a guy like myself, even if Tyson was 100% ready to go, I think Jake Paul also ups his game and maybe even knocks out Mike Tyson if it's a close battle, pretty much. But Mike Tyson being a shell of himself, of a shell of himself, of a shell of himself. Jake Paul said, "I'm not about to knock this guy out. I'm gonna hit him a few times and get my points up and win this matchup." Mike Tyson was saying at the end he was just happy to do this for his grandchildren, but I'm assuming that after the ulcer event, when it flared up, he was not the same. But he probably still needed to fight this match to get the money. It was 20 to 25 million guaranteed Mike Tyson was getting from this purse. Jake Paul was getting 40 million. See what I'm saying? That right there was a spit in fans' face. I get it. If Mike Tyson need the money, then by all means do the event anyways and get out of Dodge. But I thought it was a stain on boxing, and that's why nobody really messes with it to this day because there's a lot of crookedness behind the scenes when it comes down to these boxing events, and I can't stand it. Mike Tyson should have never been in that ring, but I give kudos and love to Jake Paul. Yes, he's an asshole in the public sense. He has to be. That's his money. He's the spoiled YouTube sensation guy who has to play a role, mind you. But in the private, when no one's looking, it's just Jake Paul probably talking to Mike Tyson's team or Mike Tyson himself. He's saying, "Look, I get it. You can't play, but you need your money. We'll go out there, and all you gotta do is look like you're ready to rock and roll. Look like you're ready to go. Talk all the right things, say the right things, and let's go and make some money and get out of here." That's what happened. Uh, I feel bad because my kids are young. It's their first time watching Mike Tyson. They saw all the clips of him in the '90s, but it doesn't register to them. My kids are only 9 years old. They're like, "Daddy, Mike Tyson suck," and I felt bad because I was like, "You didn't understand." Like when I watched Mike Tyson, like, he was the baddest man on the planet when I was a kid. When I was a kid, he was the baddest man, knocking guys out in the first round in freaking 19, 20 seconds, right? Um, so I felt bad, and I was mad because this was a sanctioned boxing match, which means that loss that Tyson took, it is on his resume, and I think that's how desperate Tyson was to actually have this match to get that money. Because who wants to have I lost to Lennox Lewis? Okay. I lost to Evander Holyfield. Fine. I lost to Buster Douglas, but he's a competent fighter. Oh, but I also lost to Jake Paul, YouTube sensation. It all felt kind of just awkward, and I feel bad. But I'm happy for Mike Tyson though, because albeit he was still 58, and he still win the ring, and he still did not get knocked out. So he won. I'm just glad he wasn't seriously injured. He can go live his life and do his thing, man. Um, and like I said, big kudos to Jake Paul for not knocking Mike Tyson out, man. But how do you feel about this match? Are you guys mad at the event? Are you mad at Netflix? I know I am, although I kind of saw that coming because you had almost 150 plus million people watching the stream at one time. You knew it was going to crash at some point. It did hard too. But how do you feel about this? Do you think they should have just never fought, or you don't mind seeing Mike Tyson go out there one more time? And who does Jake Paul go for next too? Let me know in the comments down below. Before you leave, y'all, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on our road to 3,000 subscribers. Thank you all for showing love and support. All sports fans, I love you all. And you know what time it is. Stay smart, stay educated. Peace. Love you, mama. Love you guys. Have a blessed night.